Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nasalli ala Rasulil Kareem. Viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This video is about chapter 10, that's Sura Yunus, and verse 72 of the Quran. I'll first read the translation. The translation of this verse is, if you turn away from my advice, then no payment have I asked of you. My reward is only from Allah, and I have been commanded to be of the Muslims. This is about Nuh al-Islam, or Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, who is telling his people about accepting the message. So this is a translation, and we have to now see how this verse has been translated by Muhammad Asad in his translation. According to Muhammad Asad, the translation is, and yet they gave him, the translation is, and if you turn away from the message which I bear, remember that I have asked no reward whatever of you. My reward rests with none but God, for I have been bidden to be among those who have surrendered themselves unto Him. This is the translation of Muhammad Asad of verse 72 of Surah Yunus, which is chapter 10 of the Quran. Now, just notice in this translation, anyone reading this translation by Muhammad Asad would not know that Nuh al-Islam, or Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, was a Muslim. He lived thousands of years before the coming of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and he is calling himself a Muslim. But people reading, especially non-Muslims reading that, would not know by reading Muhammad Asad's translation or similar translations. Another example of another translation which is not accurate is by Pickthall of the same verse. His translation is, if you are averse, I have asked of you no wage. My wage is the concern of Allah, and only, and I am commanded to be of those who surrender unto Him. So people reading these translations would not know that these people were Muslims, and Islam is not a new religion. It was a religion of all the prophets, going back to the first prophet, Prophet Adam, peace be upon him. It's very important for readers of translations who are not familiar with the message of Islam to know that Islam did not start for 1400 years ago. If you read the books written for schools and colleges, books of religion, books of history, you will get the impression that Islam started 1400 years ago. It's a new religion, whereas the fact is that this is the oldest religion, the very first religion, and other religions are deviations from that. Because all these prophets were also known as the biblical prophets, and they are acknowledged to be prophets of God, that they were practicing the commandments of God which had been revealed to them and which were appropriate for that time. So just think that the currency which was valid during the time of kings or governments 200-300 years ago, it's no longer valid. Or the books that were written about science or anything which were valid at that time are not valid anymore. So same thing with the revelation. The revelation from God that came to prophets was valid for the time of that prophet, for the people of that time. And when the new revelation came, then the new laws started applying. So Islam became complete. It did not stop with the coming of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. It was completed, and all people coming after the revelation, after the Quran, will be judged according to the revelation of the Quran. So this is the final message or the final revelation, And readers of these translations that I've just mentioned, there could be other translations also. I've just mentioned Muhammad Asad's translation, who consistently omits Islam and Muslims from his translation. And I've given an example of Pictol also. Readers should be alert when they're reading the Quran or reading the translation of the Quran, that if they don't know how to read the Arabic, they may not get the message of the Quran. So this is just another example, and there are many other examples which I will try to bring before the readers. وآخر الدعوانا إن الحمد لله رب العالمين.